one definition of hospitality is to make space. So, friend, could you scoot over and make space at your kitchen table to share a meal? Expand your heart to make space for a new relationship. Listen instead of talking, making space for others to be understood. This season, we'll learn from the ultimate host, Jesus Christ, and how he extended the welcome of the gospel to make space for all kinds of people. Well, we're deep into this series called Scoot Over, Imitating the Hospitality of Christ. And today we're going to go and visit a little friend, one that we probably visited when we were little kids in Sunday school, Zacchaeus, the wee little man.
The wee little man.
The wee little man was he. That's right.
I know it. I love it.
Oh, my goodness. In fact, I was singing that little song as we're getting ready this morning. And, it occurred to me, and probably this is something I probably need to go sit down and see a counselor about. But when I was little and we sang that song, Zacchaeus was a wee little man and a wee little man was he. He climbed up in the sycamore tree. For the Lord he wanted to see. And as the Savior passed that way, he looked up in that tree. Now, here's the part that I probably need counseling about. When Jesus said, Zacchaeus, you come down. That I remember my Sunday school teacher doing that finger like this. And it was like, did he say it like, hey, come on down? Or did he say, Zacchaeus, you come down? Which way did Jesus say it? And it probably has a lot to do with how we see Jesus.
Whoa.
The host.
It's such a great point because I'm like you. It was like, Zacchaeus, now you come down. It was like a parent lesson.
I'm going to your house today.
That's right. So you better get dinner going.
Exactly. That's the way I heard it. I absolutely heard it like, Zacchaeus, you come down, for I'm going to your house today. And here we are talking about the welcome of the gospel. And the older I am now, I'm thinking he probably said, Zacchaeus, you come down. I get to come to your house today.
Yeah.
And so
never thought about that. That is
I
so
don't
true.
know. I don't know. But was there anybody's house that you were excited to go to when you were growing up?
Oh, okay. So in our church, which was very small and was a little church plant, we would go up in the afternoons, especially in the summer, to Aunt Patsy's house. Now,
is she a real aunt?
She's not a real aunt, but she was in spirit. And everybody, we all called her Aunt Patsy. And Aunt Patsy had a pool.
Oh, pool. Okay.
And it was like old-fashioned days. Like, hey, we've had lunch. We've cleaned up. It's kind of that afternoon. Let's go to Aunt Patsy's. And we would swim and they'd watch us. But maybe when we were older, they didn't have to watch us. And I remember coming in the house. This is how long ago it was. I was little. The Dinah Shore TV show was on. And I was just like, and I remember Peaches and Herbs singing, their song. That is like how ingrained it is. And then as we got older and we kept maybe it wasn't every afternoon because Aunt Patsy did have 3 kids of her own that she was taking care of. But even when, I don't know, it just was a second home to me. I always walked up the back door steps like everybody else because it was your home away from home. So I loved going to Aunt Patsy's. As a matter of fact, she's the one that has the chocolate chip cake recipe I give out.
Ooh, I've had that cake before. That one's really good. That was really good. And isn't it so great that we have, that's why I asked if she was a real aunt or a fake aunt, because I think in the church, we want to be, be spiritual mothers, spiritual fathers, spiritual aunts and uncles to other people so that they feel like, that they can go in the back door. They can come through the garage. I mean, they're family. And for me, when I think about preparation and hospitality, I often think about my grandmother. My grandmother, she lived in Birmingham, and I lived in South Florida growing up. So I only got to go see her once a year, but we would always have an extended stay.
Yeah.
And my grandma is what we called her. My grandma had a treat box. And
She's a great grandmother. She is an awesome grandmother, I can tell.
And the treat box was full of Little Debbie's and every kind of things you're not probably supposed to eat. But anyway, my grandma always had Little Debbie's in the treat box, and it was always in the fridge. And then she had glass Coca-Cola bottles. And she had a bottle opener on the end of the kitchen counter.
Yeah, she did.
And so I've tried to always maintain a treat basket, a treat box. It's not always in the fridge, but I have one in my pantry. So like it's stocked with, things from Trader Joe's and other places where people are like, I just need something. And so often when I was at my grandma's house, we would sit in the afternoon. She goes, we need to hit the treat box. And so we would go and get like a Buddy Bar or something like that in a glass.
Like she was tired that day.
Exactly. Well, probably because we were wearing her out. So we would go to the treat box, and then we would sit, and have a little visit and have a glass Coke and something else. But in essence, what that taught me was she was ready for me. So before we got there, she had gone to the grocery store. She had prepared. She was ready to have some of our favorite things. And we got to go to her house.
Yeah.
Just like Jesus, I do believe that he was excited to go to see Zacchaeus. He had a plan for his life, a salvation plan. And so let's look at the narrative in Luke 19, verses 1 through 10. And see some of that excitement. I'll start reading the first couple verses here. It says, he entered Jericho, that means Jesus, and was passing through. We always see Jesus passing through these towns. And behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus. He was the chief tax collector, and he was rich. He was seeking to see who Jesus was. But on account of the crowd, he could not, because he was small in stature. So he ran on ahead and climbed into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was about to pass that way. And when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today.
So he made haste and came down and received him joyfully. But when there's always a they involved. They saw it, they all complained, saying, he has gone to be a guest with a man who is a sinner. Then Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord, 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 if I give half of my goods to the poor, and if I have taken anything from anyone by false accusation, I restore fourfold.
And Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house, since he is also a son of Abraham. And here we see Jesus' mission statement, for the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. But I love these joyful words. I mean, he was looking for Jesus.
Yes.
Are we looking for Jesus? Are we looking to look good or look, like we got it all together in terms of hospitality? I mean, and then maybe we're looking at other people like the self-righteous people, I mean, I've been like that, and these people completely miss Jesus and they miss Zacchaeus.
I know it. And I just picture like Zacchaeus is probably like, first of all, he obviously doesn't have a lot of friends because he's a sinner. And he's stuck in this gilded cage of a wonderful place with no one to share it with because of his sinner status. So no wonder he jumped down the Jesus that he just wanted a peek of. Not only did he get a peek at him because he was smart enough and crazy enough to climb a sycamore tree. I bet he had done that a lot as a kid if he was short all the time. But anyway, Jesus himself sees him. Who's looking up when they're walking in a crowd? Like, there's a tree. Jesus knew he was there, saw him and said, I want to hang out with you. And I love that he doesn't come down and go, oh, are you sure, Jesus? I mean, no one else. Like, he didn't have any of that. He was so excited. He was ready. He was like, finally, I get to hang out with people and of all people, Jesus. I just love that. I love Zacchaeus. I want to be more like him.
I mean, he was eager to meet Jesus.
Eager.
He was eager, and he saw some barriers, and he was like, I'll get up in a tree so that I can see him. He was looking for Jesus. And I often think, am I looking for him, or am I like distracted? Like we talked in some of the other episodes about other things. And really this us versus them kind of mentality can really stifle hospitality. Like, do we sup with these people, or do we sup with these kind of people? Like, is the hospitality of the gospel really okay for all kinds of people? I mean, all kinds of people?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a little story about this. I was a lot younger. I would put it in the category of I'm trying to do the right thing, but I don't want to do the right thing, but I feel like I need to do the right thing. It was a very push-pull growth moment. So there was a family in town that somehow found our church. They were homeless, and they actually kind of lived in our church temporarily, kind of in the back. I mean, they used one of the Sunday school places, I guess, classrooms or something. And anyway, so it was kind of like our church adopted them of sorts. But they were rough. They were rough. And their little boy would like watch inappropriate videos on our TV video cassette player. And we had to talk about that. Like, it's messy. The little kid was out of control. And I've never seen my pastor almost lose it as when that little kid was running. And he was like, and the little boy said, "Stop it." And then this sweet pastor goes, "No, you stop it." And he was like flustered. Then he got mad. But the kid needed somebody to get in his face. Okay, I'm going to get in trouble with the parenting people. Sorry. Anyway, moving right along. This was not your typical family you go to church with. Let's put it that way. Okay. They would constantly just walk the streets of Oxford, just constantly, just because they had nothing to do. They were homeless, and they looked homeless. And this little boy was somehow was in the same grade as one of mine. And there was a field trip to the pumpkin patch.
Well,
yeah. And homeless people don't usually get to chaperone those things, do they? Yeah. And so she asked me if she could have a ride to the pumpkin patch. That was not how I wanted to spend my ride to the pumpkin patch. First of all, it meant I wasn't riding with any of my friends, right. And it meant I wasn't going to have a quiet 30-minute ride to the pumpkin patch with my baby in the back seat. None of that.
You're going to pay for the pumpkin too.
Oh, yeah. And so I told my mother, I said, "Mom, I'm really struggling. I really don't want to do this." And she goes, "Oh, just think, it's probably an angel unawares." I said, "Well, it's a really good disguise." And it was just like pushing it. Okay. We went. And, all the other moms are super like what you would think young, cute moms are like. And this woman stuck out like a sore thumb. It looked like, what's she doing here? And I had the privilege of taking her and dying to my wants, dying to my image, dying to all of it, dying just to uncomfortableness. So fast forward a few years, and that woman gave birth to a baby that died. She has since, and at that point, this is what I usually did when things like that happened. I'd write a note. I'd send flowers. But usually for people that are not like you don't bother. And I just realized I need to do for her what I would do for one of my friends. So I sent her some little pink flowers. And I want you to know that woman wrote me a thank you note and me like that week. I felt like she was honorable of true grief and it being marked. Like yours was last week with your friend Linda. She is a human. She is made in God's image. And she wrote a thank you note. There are really a lot of cute girls that don't write thank you notes. And I'm not getting on the manners bandwagon right now, but I'm just saying she got it more than some of us do. And it was just such a lesson to me of all of these people that we pass, and it's awkward and it pushes you to lose your temper, even if you're the preacher, and it makes you, even if you're a nice Southern girl, not want to ride in the car with her. And that is one of the, I'm so thankful God got me to do that. I'm so thankful because I just saw her as a human, and that's what I need.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody who bears the image of God, the dignity of that. Yeah. And it sounds like that was something the Lord wanted to teach you. And I love how godly your mother is, Mrs. Thompson. Because actually that verse, it ties to hospitality. I just looked it up. I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure that. So it's Hebrews 13:2, and it says, I think it's 13. Oh, 13. Yeah, 2. Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unaware. So there is this idea that hospitality really is for the stranger, for the alien, for the person who's on the outside that we've been talking about. And of course, that's where Zacchaeus was. He was a stranger to a lot of the people, like, they don't even know his name. They're just like, he's a sinner, you know, he's a tax collector. I mean, what more do we need to know about him?
Yeah.
They don't know anything about what's going on in his heart. But then we see his response to encountering Jesus, and it's joy. I mean, it's the joy of hospitality. So he hurried and came down and received Jesus joyfully. So, you know, what does that look like for us to receive Christ and other people in our home joyfully? And I think is understanding again, you know, what Christ is doing through this. And for a lot of times for me, it's, is there an aspect of instantaneous obedience? Like, I mean, Zacchaeus jumped down, he hurried, it said he went and he did it. Like, we don't know if he even was prepared at his house, but it didn't matter.
No,
I mean, that's all secondary. He received Christ joyfully. And so I do think so much of the heart of the hospitality of the gospel is receiving Christ and receiving others so they can receive Christ, and keeping that the main thing. And, but in doing it with joy and not with duty, and not with, you know, just, like I said, we've been saying before, a task-driven mentality. Can you relate to that?
Yeah, one of those verses that haunts me, you may have to tell me where it is that, oh man, I'm going to butcher this. Something about be hospitable without grumbling. What's that verse?
Oh yeah, that's 1 Peter. We're going to hit that, I think, in a week or two, but yes.
Okay, well, I'll save my powder. But that haunts me because guess what? If I'm panicked, I grumble. And I was grumbling in my heart about that car ride. But that's where, going back to last week's, I need resurrection power, Jesus. I know I need to do this. I know you've got the power. Will you please enlarge my heart so I can run the way of your commands? Yes. It's one of my favorite verses in Psalms. I just don't have the heart. My heart's like Scrooge. My heart's like, not Scrooge. Who was it? The Grinch.
The Grinch.
It's so
Scrooge.
tiny.
Yeah, they both had heart problems.
They both had major heart problems. They were so stingy. Yeah. So stingy. And I just can't not be stingy. I'm just a sinner. Like, I really am. People may think, oh, Susan's so nice. But actually, okay, so this morning, remember the discussion about the Nespresso pods? So when my housekeeper came, I always ask her, would you like some coffee? And this was this was making me not be stingy. I got 2 of my favorite Nespressos because they only make a little amount. So to have a full cup, you need 2 because I've got it set wrong. Lee says I order the wrong thing. But anyway, I just like the way these look. So anyway, they've got a black and white checkered pattern.
I see.
Anyway. Okay.
But aesthetics with you, yes.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I almost reached down for the ones that were not my favorite because she doesn't care. But I went, oh, this is a stingy heart move. Let me just break it right now. And, you know, it's okay. That is such a minor thing. But there are things that really do cost you that you can't replace. And so back to my family that I was talking about. One time they would call sometimes and say, do you need food? And that always made me very nervous. I mean, I had 5 kids. I was on a very tight budget and I just was scared to open my home, my life, my schedule to these people that could just, in my mind, take over and I would be overwhelmed. I had to get to the point where I was like, if they come over to my house and that kid breaks all my McCarty pottery, which if you're from Mississippi, you know what I'm talking about. I can't replace that. They were gifts and I can't afford to replace a plate. And I had to be okay with that. I had to be okay with this kid breaking all my McCarty pottery. And that, my friends, is a miracle. That is what resurrection power looks like in the life of Susan Tyner.
Oh my goodness. Yes. And it causes us, like we see Zacchaeus, he's like, if I've taken anything from everybody, I'll give it back fourfold.
Yes.
I want to be generous. And I love what Jesus says, because this is really what's at the heart. Today's salvation has come to this house. Since he's also a son of Abraham, that means he's in the family.
Yep.
Whether you think he looks like he should be in the family or not.
Yes.
For the Son of the Man has came to seek and to save the lost. And so I want us to transition here a little bit to practical ideas of ways that we can extend hospitality, the hospitality of the gospel, in terms of evangelism outside to people who are outside the church, and how God uses this. Our mayor here in Colorado Springs last year, again, it's widely reported that we have an epidemic of loneliness, and whether it's between the Surgeon General, his report, but so many people are writing on it right now. And so he decided a good thing to do was we would have neighborhood gatherings in Colorado Springs. And so he set a goal of having 1,000. And so he went to churches and he said, would you help us do this?
Wow. That is awesome.
And so it was Memorial Day to Labor Day. And we're doing it again this summer. So anyway, it went so well last year, we're doing it again. And so whether you're a believer or not a believer, whatever, people just need to know their neighbors. And so he said, would you throw a neighborhood gathering? And so they gave you like a little kit, like you could, like, here are things here are invitations. You could go and invite your neighbors. And it could be anything from ice cream, in your driveway to, we did a barbecue for our cul-de-sac. But anyway, where I'm going with this is, if the government knows people are lonely.
Yeah.
Then how much more the church? And so then Chris said, well, I want our church to try to do 100 of these. Like if we're going to try to set a goal of this, of being out there and being a church that's welcoming all kinds of people. So he challenged our congregation to try to do that. Well, anyway, have you had experience? I mean, like, obviously we've done like neighborhood barbecues, backyard Bible club we've done before. What are other ideas?
Well, I would say that Chris was involved in that one. He's going straight to 100. Okay. Mine are smaller numbers, and it's baby steps.
Our church is kind of big. We need to nudge on it.
Well, okay. When I moved to neighborhoods a couple of years ago, we would, like, when it wasn't so hot, sit on the porch so we could wave to people, so we can meet neighbors. It's literally cost us nothing. We just got whatever we were drinking inside and took it outside. And then as people would walk by with their dogs, or we'd say, we'd have our dogs with us, dogs and babies, you can start talking. It doesn't matter if you know each other. So that just was a step into just doing that. Okay, this sounds crazy, and this is thinking outside the box. But our neighborhood is one of those that has, like, everybody from around town comes to our neighborhood for Halloween trick-or-treating. Mm-hmm. So, one, I am dressing up, even though I grew up not celebrating Halloween very much because we have Reformation Day.
Yes, okay.
But I'm just going with, this is what a missionary would do in a foreign country. I'm a missionary, and they dress up and I'm not having cheapo bad candy. I want to be having decent. Now, I don't have the big bars like my around the corner neighbors because I can't afford that. But I am having good chocolate. I'm not getting all that cheap stuff that's filler because I hate that. But that's kind of hospitality. So then we get to know people that way. Then, okay, I'm taking up. These are baby steps. This year, this is where you're going. You crazy. We have been invited and accepted to be on the, quote, tour of homes that makes money for our neighborhood. Oh, is at Christmas.
Oh, Christmas, yeah.
So they choose 5 homes. It's like a 2-day thing. People buy tickets, and all the proceeds go to our neighborhood improvement. And part of the reason I'm doing that is I want to signal to my neighbors that we're in. We care about our neighborhood. We are supporting our neighborhood. I want to be a part of the neighborhood. And so these are not Christian church events.
Right.
I got lots over there going on. Where I needed to stretch my muscles is with people that are not. And it's just, I think God has like, I'm a wimp at it. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm a wimp, and I have to have baby steps. So that's kind of it's kind of backwards hospitality. I don't know.
Yeah, but I can see people coming because I've gone into your house and I know you moved into that neighborhood to be a part of that neighborhood. So you can know people. I could see them coming in, getting a cup of cold water, so to speak, having, some kind of drinks in there, and just your general Tyner, roll out the red carpet kind of hospitality. But then after they leave, you're going to have to mop the floor because you're going to have so many people come through your house on that porch. I'm like, that's going to be a lot of mopping. That's what I'm thinking. That task driven person. I wish I could come and help mop after all the people.
Oh, man, I just hope it's not raining. That would be bad.
That's true. It could be rain. We'll just pray about that. But anyway, and I'm also envisioning how you dress up for Halloween. But but I think there's a principle here, and this is where I was going to go next, is there are days in the year, 4th of July, Halloween, Christmas, Easter egg hunts, all these things. You may say what you want, and you may have your own conviction. So I'm not I'm not trying to sear your conscience on any of these things. But the bottom line is your neighbors are outside. They are moving outside. And so for us, Halloween has always been full-size candy bars. And yes, we did break our budget. We just wanted to be known as the full-size candy bar house.
Yes, it's a deal.
And we ended up having a lot of our neighbors come to that church plant where our full-size candy bar season of our life. But the other thing we did was at Christmas, and I would invite people from our church to come and help. But we did, and of course, we did this both in Florida and also in our Illinois house, but we did like a cookie swap for kids. It wasn't really a woman's thing, but more like kids made cookies or treats with their parents. Yeah. And then they came and we would have like crafts. And of course, there was glitter, there was glue. It was a mess. I mean, I remember having to like take the leaf blower and like blow off the whole driveway because there were cookie crumbs that were attracting ants. There was glitter, but they had, and Chris, every year he would read them a story that pointed to the Christmas story.
Yeah.
But I have pictures of all these kids, sitting in the floor of our home listening. And, but just to say, this time of year, regardless of what you believe, it's about the birth of Jesus, and that's part of Jesus coming is a gift that we can be generous with. Yeah. Or Easter egg hunts. I mean, that's another thing where we would do those backyard Bible clubs because kids didn't want to go to Vacation Bible School at a church. And honestly, at the beginning, we didn't even have a building. So that people couldn't come to our Vacation Bible School in the building. And then another thing that we did specifically in that neighborhood was kind of popsicles in the park, popsicles at the bus stops.
Oh, that's cute.
And that is a low budget hospitality thing. You can show up with popsicles at the park. So we would have like, hey, young moms, come to the park, bring your friends, and I'll bring the popsicles.
Yeah. And
they're like consumable. Like, hey, they're going to melt. Hey, share with everybody, push-ups, whatever. Or just having treats at the bus stop. That was a 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon every day of evangelism opportunity. And that can also happen like your kids are on a sports team.
Yes, for sure.
So maybe you get assigned to bring the oranges or whatever, but maybe it's a little more than that. Maybe you go a little extra mile just because you're like, you know what? These people, I'm spending hours every week with these people in bleachers.
Yes. I mean, really, it's kind of like a ninja move. You're kind of like, I know that it's easier to attract people with honey. So I'm adding some honey. And it's in the name of gospel, but you don't tell them that. It's like sneaking in vegetables in the lasagna. I mean, it's just so fun to use. Like we have things, and it may be different for different people. But I'm sorry, if a kid is getting popsicles, they're going to remember that because that was a big moment for them. I just, one of the things we're doing new at our church this year, which is is at church. But it's not like basically one Tuesday morning a month. We're going to try it as a test program, say from 9 to 11:30 or something. We're going to have childcare at the church, and we're calling it a Mother's Morning In.
Right.
And so if you just If you need childcare, you got it, but you can go sit by yourself and pray and read your Bible. You could, if you have a woman to woman group and y'all have a bunch of kids, why don't you meet at the church? And it could be for any woman. And as long as you stay on premises, so we're not babysitting without you here, it's just to provide space that they don't have. They just don't have it. And so that's kind of a creative hospitality space too.
I love that, making space for people, because really, as you made over the space in your building, as I've had a chance to come, it is absolutely a hospitable place, like a place where people can come and they can gather, and there's like smaller spaces and bigger spaces. And another idea, again, depending on where you live. So in our Naperville years, you might not know this, but it snows from October to May.
Oh my word.
And so you can have popsicles in the park, but that's only in the summer. But in the rest of the year, what we did was we had our children's ministry did like open gym. And so it would be like your morning.
Awesome. Yes.
So basically it was kind of like, the principle of a Chuck E. Cheese. You get in, you close the door. It's kind of safe, But here's how our church invested in it. Riding toys, little big wheels, hula hoops, balls, and coffee. And so it was always a coffee station, and they would come into the gym because you can't play outside. So we're saying, okay, your kids need to run off this energy. Here's all the toys. And people loved bringing their friends into that. And then, of course, they're in our building, and then they're seeing, oh, well, maybe I could come back on Sunday, or maybe I could come. And so if there was something like Vacation Bible School coming up, or a women's holiday dinner or whatever, we were always inviting people like as a next step, but not as a means to an end, but to say, hey, come into our home, which is our church home, and ride your big wheel.
That's
because it's snowing outside. And so I don't know what the Lord has equipped your home, your church home with, or your own home with, but like, how can you share that? When our kids were little, my grandmother, who I talked about, that had the treat box, gave us money for the big play set.
Ooh.
The big red ones, the rainbow, I don't know, but it had the spiral slide. It had
my goodness.
Things, a sandbox, the good one. And we had a trampoline. Now that's probably a lawyer nightmare, but anyway.
We had one too, and it was against his wishes, probably.
I mean, I don't know for leave, but we were like, okay, in Florida, that everybody's outside. So how can we have a good playground and have the trampoline so that kids will come and gather in our yard?
For sure.
I have other friends who they buy the pool table because they want kids to come in, or the ping pong table, or they have the pool, like your aunt that had the pool.
Well, we had the trampoline, we had the pool table, which was great until I realized that my son's senior year, there was a poker game going on all the time, and I didn't know it. Even when we weren't home, they just walked in and played poker on my pool table. That's the story. So watch it if you have a pool table.
That's true. Yeah, they're up to no good. That's kind of like the Music Man. We got trouble right here in River City, right? We digress. But like the bottom line is, when you open your heart, when you open your home, and when you open, your life to people outside of your church, it will be costly, but it will be glorious. We have a mutual friend, Tatiana, who lives here, and right now, her big evangelism hospitality is buying ground beef because her son loves to make smash burgers for his friends. And so they have a flat top grill. They have the ping pong table. They have the hot tub. They have all these things.
Wow.
And so I asked her the other day, I said, how much ground beef did you buy at Costco? And so we're talking about like pounds and pounds and pounds and pounds of hamburger meat. Because all these kids are playing football and eating.
They're starving.
They're starving,
Yeah.
That's sacred, eternal work.
Oh, it is. I
know the grocery bill is like off the charts, but you know what? It's worth it to buy the hamburgers,
Oh, yeah. I remember when Harry, he was, I don't know, like middle schoolish. They couldn't drive, but they could ride bikes. And I think I was getting taken. Like, I think they were doing something, and they had this was the cover story, but it was still fun and it still seemed to work. They wanted to come over for a Bible study, and like on Thursday afternoons after school, and then just play. Yeah. So I am teaching all these boys. Now I kept it short and sweet. And they were probably like, okay, now can we go play? But still, it was food. It was this home. Let's go. I mean, it was so fun as a mom. I mean, there are moms out there that know this. I want to be the house where they are. So I will have the snacks. We even considered getting a Coke machine in our garage so that at least they paid $0.25 for a soft drink. We could break even. But we never got that far. It was a great idea that didn't happen because there were a lot of other things happening.
I can imagine Lee trying to find some empty vending machine and saying, we're going to put this in the garage. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's so great. Well, so the ideas are endless. Just keep brainstorming about ways. The bottom line is, what does God put in your hand? What does he put in your home? What does he put in your heart? How can you share it and joyfully receive others as we receive Christ? Are we looking for Jesus like Zacchaeus? This has been a fun episode. Next week, we come back and we're going to see how Jesus invites his disciples to be on Team Jesus. And sometimes we want to build our own teams and do our own things. And so I want to be on Team Jesus. And so if you're curious about what that means, please come back next week, next Tuesday on the Encourage podcast. Thanks for listening along.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Encourage podcast, where we have one aim: to bring the hope of the gospel to the hearts of women. We invite you to share this episode with a friend and keep the conversation going. And would you also consider giving to CDM to make this podcast available to women all over the world? The Encourage podcast is a production of CDM, the discipleship ministry of the PCA.